On the trail of a killer, a tornado plows through a Boy Scout camp in Iowa, leaving 4 young teenagers dead.
The door blew up and they were like, get under the tables, get under the tables.
Surviving scouts spring into action using their training to help the nearly 50 injured.
There were some real heroes at the scout camp.
I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, still more dangerous weather. Rapidly rising floodwaters invade Cedar Rapids. Thousands are forced out of their homes. And the rain keeps coming. And what are people doing with their stimulus checks?
I know, I'm such a whiz. I'll invest it in my biz.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
And good evening, everyone. You have to wonder how much the people in the Midwest can take. It's been a nonstop beating from the weather, rainstorm after rainstorm, floodwaters spreading like a slow-motion disaster, and then deadly tornadoes, 2 of them last night. One blasted through a Boy Scout camp near Blencoe, Iowa, an unspeakable tragedy for 4 families who lost young scouts. Dozens more were injured. The other twister hit Kansas, all but wiping the town of Chapman off the map and killing a 21-year-old woman and a 62-year-old man. And floodwaters, they are pouring into Cedar Rapids, Iowa tonight. Nearly 4,000 homes have been evacuated. We have correspondents across the Midwest to cover this extreme weather. First, our early show weather anchor, Dave Price, at that Boy Scout camp where a special group of elite scouts from Iowa and Nebraska were gathered when the tornado hit. And Dave, tell us about the scene there.
Well, Katie, the EF3 tornado, which rolled through here with 145-mile-per-hour winds, left this landscape behind me unrecognizable and its people mourning. Just over 24 hours ago, this place was brimming with young life until that tornado hit. The tornado struck the 1,800-acre Boy Scout camp with little warning and no mercy.
In the tornado.
2 storm chasers recorded this first-hand look as the tornado passed overhead, bearing down on the camp.
Our ears are popping. The tornado is right over us right now. Holy smokes. We are getting hit by a tornado right now. We are in the tornado. We are in the tornado. Can you still hear me? Went over us. The tornado just went right over us.
In the chaos of the storm, the scouts took shelter in a cabin.
All we heard was, get under the tables, get under the tables, get under the tables.
These scenes were shot by one of the camp staff moments later as the storm's toll began to emerge. 4 scouts died when this cabin and its stone fireplace collapsed. Sam Thompson, about to turn 14, had a passion for scouting, sports, and his church. 13-year-old Josh Fennon was described as creative, confident, and a natural leader. Aaron Eilert's 14 was an outgoing, friendly kid who loved Elvis Presley. And 14-year-old Ben Petrozelka enjoyed the outdoors and liked to hunt and fish with his father. Scout supervisor Thomas White rode out the storm in a ditch and then ran to help.
We started moving rubble off the kids that had gotten crushed by the fireplace. There was a kid with something stabbed through his leg, and he was screaming, and just blood on the ground. Kids had hit in the face with bricks and broken out teeth. It was about 5 minutes after I was up there when I saw the scouts that had died. So. But, I stayed calm when I was up there, because the one thing that we got to do is you got to stay calm yourself so that the other people will stay calm, and then everything goes a lot smoother and people get taken care of and more people survive.
The 93 scouts at this camp were handpicked to take part in a future leader training course and use the skills they learned as Boy Scouts to help rescue their friends.
And they were the real heroes, these young men.
And as this camp mourns the loss of 4, it's a reminder that this is already the deadliest tornado season in a decade, with 118 fatalities so far as compared with 74 at this time last year, Katie.
All right, Dave Price, it's so heartbreaking, Dave, and we'll be back to talk to you in just a few minutes. Now to Kansas, where a line of tornadoes ripped across that state, one of them flattening the town of Chapman. 2 people were killed, and as Hari Srinivasan reports, about 100 homes have been damaged or destroyed.
That was our bedroom up there. The tornado that ripped through Chapman, Kansas, turned Stacy Mayberry's house inside out.
We had 3 kids, my husband and I. To look at my house, you wouldn't think anybody was alive.
It took a destructive and random path, leveling both public schools, but leaving downtown untouched. More than half the buildings are damaged or destroyed. Many of the 1,200 residents had their homes reduced to splinters.
And the devastation is enormous. I mean, you get a real sense of the power of Mother Nature. It looks like a bomb went off.
Although officials believe everyone is accounted for, the town was evacuated and rescue teams searched building to building. Late today, residents lined up for a chance to see their homes. Stacy Mayberry searched for what was most important.
My son lost his best friend about 3 years ago, and we have found those pictures too. So that's big.
The tornado took out power to parts of Chapman, so utility crews have turned off the water and the gas just to be safe. So for the short term, some of those people that have lost everything, Katie, are going to have to spend the night somewhere else with family or friends.
All right, Hari Srinivasan. Hari, thank you very much. Now to the Midwest flooding. Parts of Iowa have had 5 inches of rain in just the past day. More than half the counties in the state have been declared disaster areas. And tonight, a large part of Cedar Rapids, population 120,000, is underwater. Dean Reynolds is there. And Dean, I know people are afraid it's only going to get worse.
That's right, Katie. As miserable as it is here today, keep in mind that the Cedar River will not crest until later tonight or early tomorrow morning, and that is certain to send more water flowing into this flooded city.
One by one, hour by hour, all day long, they emerged from the depths of their neighborhoods, wet and stunned by the natural disaster that hit their hometown.
I didn't think that water would come up that fast.
As street after street went under, residents tried to stay ahead of the tide.
The water is chest high in our house.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah, really. So, and furniture is floating all over the place.
The pictures evoked memories of New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina, and the feelings, too.
I'm crying and stuff because it's hard to see everything go. I mean, like, memories of my kids' pictures gone.
100 city blocks in Cedar Rapids are now below the waves. And along with the disappearing streets, at least one rail bridge collapsed. This one went into the drink this morning, while local reporters were watching scenes of chaos unfold right in front of them.
You can see the sheer force of this river. This semi-trailer is just floating around. It just ran into this tree.
We can get a shot of this right back here. There is a street pole that is collapsing.
Emergency rescue teams were stretched thin and stunned by the enormity of the task ahead.
I've never seen anything close to this.
1, 2, 3. Mike Cheney and his co-workers ventured repeatedly into the murk for stragglers left behind.
You know, it's going to be years before things get back to normal.
Nora Dobbs stayed put as long as she could, worried about her belongings to the end.
Can you pull my door closed so everything will just pull out?
I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Nora made it to the shore at First Avenue, a makeshift dock for refugees from the rain. The anxiety of the moment underscored by the emotional arrivals on shore.
This is Susie and this is Lee.
Elsewhere in the Midwest, the signs were not good. Swollen rivers were over their banks or close to it in a number of states, and nearly every town on the Mississippi, from northern Iowa to southern Missouri, has been alerted that the big river is at or above flood stage and posing the worst threat in 15 years.
Here in Cedar Rapids, they've had to evacuate nearly 4,000 homes, and that number is certain to go up unless the rain stops falling for a few days at least. Katie?
All right, Dean Reynolds. Dean, thank you. And what about that? Let's go back to weather anchor Dave Price in Iowa. Dave, what is the forecast? Is there any relief in sight?
Well, there is, but it's going to take a little while. Tonight, it's more bad news, Katie, for the central Great Lakes, lower Midwest, and Missouri Valley. Heavy rains could bring 1 to 3 inches of precipitation along with 70-mile-per-hour winds, which could spawn tornadoes in isolated areas. And these same areas aren't going to catch a break until very, very late on Friday. But that's not before dropping more rain and high winds. Now, finally, that storm system is going to move eastward on Saturday. Katie?
All right. Dave Price. Dave, thank you so much for all your help tonight. We really appreciate it. Now to Washington, where the Supreme Court for the third time has slammed the Bush administration for its handling of terror suspects at Guantanamo Bay. Wyatt Andrews reports federal courts could see a flood of detainee cases as a result of the latest high court decision.
The ruling essentially tells the Bush administration no more halfway justice at Guantanamo, that the detainees there, according to Justice Anthony Kennedy, have the constitutional privilege of habeas corpus. That simple statement gives the 270 detainees the right to challenge their detentions not at a military tribunal, but in front of a U.S. judge.
This is an excellent day for the rule of law.
Lawyers for the detainees called it a victory for America's reputation around the world.
And it's the beginning of restoring what this country has been known throughout the world as upholding values of fairness.
But the 5-4 ruling was bitterly rebuked by the court's conservatives, with Justice Antonin Scalia saying that for the first time, the court confers a constitutional right to alien enemies detained abroad in the course of an ongoing war. Scalia pointedly said the ruling will almost certainly cause more Americans to be killed.
It is a dangerous decision.
Dangerous, says Senator Lindsey Graham, because in the middle of a war, military officers could be dragged into federal court.
Never in the history of warfare have we allowed enemy prisoners to go to a federal court and sue our own troops to be released.
So what happens now? At least 200 detainees will likely apply for release here in U.S. District Court in Washington, but it won't happen quickly, and no immediate releases are expected.
One big wild card here is what happens to the 80 trials that the military still wants to hold down in Guantanamo. The trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, that probably will not be impacted, but others, Katie, will almost certainly be reviewed.
All right, Wyatt Andrews at the Supreme Court for us tonight. Wyatt, thank you. There is much more CBS News ahead, including that economic stimulus money. The check was in the mail now. How are people spending it? But up next, a radical approach to education, a place where school is almost never out.